If you're planning on doing an LS swap into anything and you're looking for an oil pan, you're not going to want to miss this video. Okay guys, so today we're working on the engine for our Chaos Theory Camaro project again, and we're installing the oil pan. So I know most of you are looking at this oil pan and you're thinking, well, yeah, isn't that the same Holley oil pan that you installed on the DR Nova's engine? No, it is not. What you're looking at here is a fairly new design from a company called Top Street Performance. I'm going to kind of give you the backstory as to how I came upon this oil pan, and then we're going to get into pricing, what all it comes with, and kind of checking it over, look for quality issues. This isn't really like one of my normal review videos per se, but I do kind of want to go over this pan, and I want to try it on our 5.3 engine over there for the Chaos Theory Camaro and tell you guys what I think about it. And if I think this is a good budget option as opposed to, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, the Holley pan that we used on the DR Nova. I can go ahead and tell you up front, this pan was about $100 cheaper than the Holley pan that we used on the DR Nova, and it has a lot of the same features. What kind of happened was I was trying to find a cheaper option to the Holley pan that I'd used. That pan was $349 and came with all the components that you see here that this pan came with. It came with the pickup tube. It was drilled just like this pan. It's drilled on both sides for oil return lines if you're running one turbo or twin turbos. And it comes with block off plugs for those. It comes with your cooler block off here. It comes with your adapter for your oil filter, new oil ring for your pickup tube here, and it comes with you know, your basic hardware, your drain plug, pickup tube, screws, and this pickup tube uses two instead of just one like a factory unit. You know, it comes with all that, and it comes with the little baffle that goes in the bottom of the pan. What you're looking at right here is everything that every Holley pan also comes with, guys. What this does come with that the Holley pans do not come with is a new oil pan gasket and a whole new set of oil pan bolts. Basically, what I'm looking at here, this is not, guys, I want to make that perfectly clear first of all. This is not like a knockoff of the Holley 302-3 pan. Guys, like this is its own pan. It's completely different design than any of the Holley pans. All of their pans are similar, but you know, it's like this, guys. Some of the Holley pans were based off the F-body pan, and that's kind of what these guys did too, I think, is, you know, they took like all the good stuff about an F-body pan and kind of applied that, and this is what they came up with. Now, this isn't just a review video, guys. I'm actually going to install this on our 5.3 today, but I wanted to kind of go over this pan because it's such in my opinion, a great budget option for you guys who don't want to spend $350, you know, on a pan, $350 or more. So I'll just go ahead and tell you, this is actually the most expensive pan that they make. This pan was $261 shipped to my door. That's with all the hardware you see, plus the new oil pan gasket and the new oil pan bolts. All this came together in a box for $261 shipped, and that was from Poor Man Motorsports. I will put a link to not just this pan, but the other two pan designs as well. I'll put a link in this video description. But I gotta say, guys, this is a heavy duty pan. I mean, it's an oil pan. There's not a lot I can say about it. The bonuses with this pan, it's got a really thick flange here, so you shouldn't have to worry about warpage or anything like that. Again, it does have the turbo drains on both sides here. If you flip it over, you can see inside, you know, it's got a fairly nice finish around the gasket mating surface. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's actually got like the little toothing like you want on a gasket surface. Now, I want to go over a few things with this pan before we put it together and put it on our engine. One big thing here is I notice it's got a crank relief here. Now, the Holley 302-3 pan that we used on the Nova claims that it is clearance for up to a 4-inch stroke crank. So, you know, that would be like if you were building a 408 stroker out of a 6.0, or you know, like a 363 stroker out of a 5.3. You could use that Holley pan. The one drawback with this pan is they're claiming that it will only clear a stock throw crank, like a 3.62 throw crank. So that's pretty much any stock LS engine other than an LS7. You know, doesn't have a crank throw longer than 3.62 inches. So you should be good there. But on the bright side, the other pan that I'm linking in this description, the one I was telling you about, the I believe it's the 80, what is it? It's their 74 pan, I believe. This is the 75 pan. I believe their 74 pan actually has clearance for up to a 4.125 inch stroke. So, you know, if you're looking at building a stroker, you're probably going to want to go that route. It does not have these turbo drain bungs, but other than that, everything's good. I really don't see anything mentionable downside wise, except the fact that it did not come with any instructions whatsoever. But that's okay, because as long as you've got this video, I'm about to show you everything you need to know about installing this pan. So we're going to go ahead and get to putting it together. So first things first, we've got our baffle here. So we're just going to slide him in. Looks like the machining was done correctly. All the bolt holes are lining up. So we're going to go in here and get our 4 short bolts. That would be these 4 guys here. And we're going to thread them all in. Next, we're going to flip the pan up and go ahead and install our drain bolt. And that's 15 millimeter. Next, we're going to flip the pan over and thread in our oil filter adapter. And give him a snug with a 15/16. We're going to install our oil cooler block off here. Since we are not going to be running turbos right off the bat with this build, we're going to use our 2 little plugs here, wrap them with some Teflon tape, and thread them in. And this is going to require a 10 millimeter hex bit. If you don't have one, you better get one, because you're going to need one. So the first thing I want to do is show you why we have to clearance this. So we're going to go ahead and set our windage tray on here. If you need to know which way it goes, I don't know if you can see it in this light, but it's actually stamped into the windage tray rear. So that's the rear of the engine. I'll go ahead and set him on there, just like that, but we're not going to bolt him down. And here's what I'm going to show you. Actually, I'm going to take our O-ring off so I don't pinch it or mess with it, because we don't need it yet. But if we put our pickup tube in here, in the oil pump, the way it's supposed to go, and we try to push it down the way it's supposed to go, the first thing I can see is it is hitting the windage tray right here. So we can just look right through here, and we already know right from the get-go that we're going to have to trim this whole piece off of this windage tray, bare minimum, just to clear our pickup tube here. Now my marks might be a little hard to see on camera, but trust me, it's there. So there's our end mark. I know this pan has got to be trimmed back. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do away with that whole bolt. That pan's got to be trimmed that wide all the way back to that mark. So just go ahead and say right there like that. Before I just cut this piece off, I want to come over here and I want to lay my pan on the engine and see if my pan is going to sit all the way down on here, or if this is going to hit my pan anywhere. I'm going to walk it over. What I'm hoping for here is that it sits flush. And what I find is that it does not sit flush. If you look where the pan steps up right here, I think it would be pretty safe to assume that anywhere from here forward is where it's hitting the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make a little mark on my block right here. Make a mark on my block right here. Only just barely not clearing. I mean, I need that much room, guys. So I think it's pretty safe to assume if I trim that baffle back past this step, should be good to go. So if I come over here to where I made my mark on the block here, and I run it over, that runs over to right here. Now we already know this whole piece right here needed to go bye-bye to clear the pickup tube. Also need for this piece to go bye-bye as well. So right across through here needs to go bye-bye. I would really like to keep these last two bolt holes. I really don't want this much of this tray flopping around in here. So what I'm going to try to do is see how much I can get away with. And I'm actually going to come just on this side of this bolt hole and do this number here and come across and come down just on this side of this bolt hole and come across. And I'm hoping that that's going to allow me to keep these last two bolts in here. So we're cutting over like this, up here, and then across. So I'm going to get my die grinder and I'm going to get this cut out, and then what I'll do, I'll set this back on. If everything lines up the way it should, then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to measure this piece for you guys and tell you what the measurements are. So if you don't want to, you don't have to go through this whole process. You can just use my measurements and you should be good to go. Safety first, guys. My wife is an optician and nothing pisses her off worse than when she comes out here and sees me grinding with no eye protection. Always use your eyes, and if it's loud enough, your ears too. Okay, so now we've got our cut. If you guys can see that. So we're going to test fit it again and see if we're good or if we need to make some more cuts. So the first thing I'm going to do is check my pickup tube. See how that guy sits in here. looks like my pickup tube flange is now all the way seated in there, and we're good on the pickup tube. Let's see how we're doing with that. And we have full seatment, guys. Yep. Our pan is all the way down, sitting flush. So we're good to go on the pan. Something else I wanted to check. I know the Holley pans say that they require the use of an LS3 dipstick and dipstick tube. I think this says the same thing. I would actually have to go back and check. Shame on me, I should have already done that. But what I have here is the stock truck dipstick tube and dipstick, and we're gonna see. And honestly, I don't see why that wouldn't work unless for some reason it would not clear the baffle in this pan. So let's see what happens here. Yes, it is holding it up, guys. So just like with the Holley pans, you are going to need an LS3 dipstick and dipstick tube. That is going to be an extra expense. Actually, Holley sells them as a combo for about $40. But I'm going to put up some eBay links because with Rays Nova, I'd actually found them cheaper buying them separate on eBay. So I'll put those links up. I promise you guys I would give you the measurements for this piece that I cut off right here. Now, I would say most of you can probably look at this and pretty well judge what I did. This is the rear here where it says rear, and if you go up to the 1, 2, 3, 4th bolt hole, you're going to cut it off right, like straight across, right in front of that bolt hole. Just give yourself just enough material left on there to actually bolt this down, right? So we'll save that measurement and say you just got, you know, come right across the top of that 4th bolt hole. And then as far as for the pickup tube down the side here, you're going to want to come down after you cut it off, come down, oh, look at there, exactly 2 inches from your new edge, and then just go straight over. And that's it, man. That's all there is to it. Clearance that pan. So first things first, gonna bolt our pan on here. I'm sorry, our windage tray. And we're going to put 7 of 8 bolts in it. We're not going to put this bolt over here in yet because that has to go through our pickup tube also. Okay, next we're going to take our O-ring, dip in a little bit of Vaseline. You can just use oil, guys, fresh motor oil. I like to use Vaseline. It's just, it's whatever. So when we push this in, we want it to seat firmly. You shouldn't have to force it like a lot, but it should, you should feel it seat firmly. And I've got Vaseline on my fingers now. Oh yeah, and it slid in. I felt it. It didn't go in too easy. That's the thing, guys. You don't want it to go in too easy. It needs to kind of pop in. And then we've got our, let's see, what size is this? 5mm Allen headed bolts that the pan came with for the new hold down. Now this first one's tricky, guys. And it always makes me nervous because if you drop it, which, if you drop it, you're gonna have to flip the engine over and try to somehow find it. There we go. And it started. You know, the factory pickup tube, as I pointed out earlier in the video, the factory pickup tube only uses 1 bolt to hold it down. This one uses 2, which really is a better design. But that 1 bolt down in there, right past this bend, it's kind of a bear to get to. Which is why they give you Allen bolts instead of you know, a standard instead of a standard bolt, because it would be impossible to get a socket on there. There's just not enough clearance there. Need to put our hold down nut over here, which is also our last windage tray nut. He's not going anywhere. Now, here's the thing a lot of people skip. GM does in fact call for this, and so do most oil pan manufacturers. You need to run a dab of silicone right here where the front cover meets the engine block, and at the back where the rear cover meets the engine block. You do not have to just glob a huge amount on there. Right here, that is more than sufficient. I actually like to take my finger and kind of roll it into the crack a little bit. Do that at all 4 corners, and then we'll set our new gasket on. Again, this was included with this oil pan. I can't tell you 100% with 100% certainty how good this gasket is, but looking at it, it looks like it, you know, it beads out in all the right spots. It's even got, I don't know if you can see that, but it's even got the little catches in the corners for the silicone dabs that we just put down. Yeah, and it's only got it on the bottom side. See, the catches aren't there on this back side, just the way it should be. It's just like, it's the same way the factory gasket is, guys. So, like I said, I can't say 100%, but it looks pretty dang close to a factory GM gasket. It's even got the little rivet holes to rivet it to a stock pan. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and set it on here. I didn't think about this till just now. It'll actually, if you set the gasket on the pan and push some of the bolts through, it'll hold the bolts in place to the pan. That's really what I should have done. But I've already set it on there now. As long as it doesn't move around too much, no biggie. So I'm just going to set my pan on now and start a couple of the bolts. We'll just hope that it sets straight on there. And again, these are the new bolts that the pan came with. They look just like the factory bolts. You know, they've got the head on them and everything. You've got all of your short bolts, and then it came with the 2 long bolts for the back of the pan here. Alright, I got them all snugged. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to torque all of these bolts down to 18 foot-pounds. Now, your 2 long bolts right here on the end, these are only going to get torqued to 106 inch-pounds. Alright, not torque pound or not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. I have done this myself. Do not over tighten these 2 long bolts. You will break them. I have actually broken them and thought that I was only going to 106 inch-pounds. Okay, so 106 inch-pounds on these. Wait to tighten those until you've already tightened all the other bolts up to 18 foot-pounds. Oh, and one more thing. I like to kind of start in the middle and crisscross. So I'll go here to here to here to here to here to here to here. You get the picture. Kind of start in the middle, crisscross, work your way out. It's just to keep from warping the pan, guys. I'm not trying to be anal retentive, but you do not want to warp the brand new pan that you just put on here. All right, now I'm just going to go around in a circle and just check my torque. What happens, guys, is as you get them all snugged down evenly, you know, sometimes it'll pull the pan down enough that one of the ones you already torqued might get some tension taken off. So it never hurts to go around and just double check. Make sure they're all as snug as they need to be. And notice I'm not twisting. Well, actually that one did just a hair. Notice I'm not twisting, I'm just breaking it, making sure it's at the right torque. Then we'll go over here with our little bitty guy. We've got him set to 106, and we'll tighten up our 2 long bolts that go into the rear cover. This isn't much at all, guys. I mean, this is like, see if you can move the camera so you can see how much force this really is that I'm putting on here. 106 inch-pounds is not much. Look, that's one finger. That's it. Right there. One finger. That's all these two get, guys. Again, do not over tighten them. They will snap. Now we're just gonna go over here in our goodie shelf, PF48E. I'm gonna lube him up just like everything else and spin them on. Get on there, buddy. This is a good time to go over something else, guys. Look, when you're putting an oil filter on your vehicle, oh Lord, how many people I've just screamed at about this. What you're going to do, you're going to screw that oil filter down until it just makes contact like that. You see, I just had 2 fingers, right? It just made contact. Then you're going to take your oil filter wrench, you're going to put it on there, and you're going to go a half a turn, okay? That's from here to here. That's it. That's all, guys. Do not sit there and crank this thing down. Twist it on easy. As soon as the rubber seal makes contact, go 1/2 turn with a filter wrench. That's it. If you put it on any tighter than that, you drive it for a lot of miles, it gets hot a lot. That's when you end up having to take and shove screwdrivers through it to get it off and shit like that, guys. So yeah, there's your pro tip of the day. That's it, guys. That's our new low budget but seemingly high quality oil pan installed on our new engine for, well, new engine, our 300,000+ mile engine for Project Chaos Theory. This is, in case you guys haven't been following the playlist and you know, maybe you just popped in to see the oil pan video or whatever, this is going into a 3rd gen Camaro. So I would urge you to check out the rest of the Chaos Theory playlist if you don't know about it already. I document all my builds in separate playlists, so makes everything easy to look up and find if you're trying to figure out how to do something. Link will be in the description. I will also put a link in the description to the LS3 dipstick tube and dipstick that you're gonna need, and that pretty much covers it, guys. So if you're looking for a good high quality pan for less than $300, and that's all in, you know, with all the parts included, this is your guy, guys. Top Street Performance and Poor Man Motorsports. So as always, if you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you know anyone else who may benefit from this video, share it with them or the group or whatever. If you want to keep track of the Project Chaos Theory build or any other build on this channel, don't just hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn your notifications on, guys. Click that little bell down there in the corner. Thanks for watching. Now get out in the garage, get something done, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.